My experience has been, I'm a small firm and I was a startup back in 2001, and my trial experience, I can go, and I'm not trying to make this all about my experience, but I mean, I can go toe to toe with a high-priced attorney, and they're no better than I am. And I know, and you know, you'll hear Sandy and I talk about each other in positive ways because we started that way. And actually, Sandy's partner and I we're very friendly, and she also started at Child Welfare at ACS with me as well. And the trial experience, if somebody came to me and said, I don't want a Brooklyn attorney, and I want a Manhattan attorney, hands down, I recommend her office. And why? Not because I know them. I know a lot of different lawyers, but it's partially because I know that they have the trial experience. I know they know how to treat a client, and I know how that they're going to be able to start and finish with a client. And they are not what would be considered a high-priced, large Manhattan firm. So I think that's also a very important point for people to take into account is you don't have to pay $800 an hour for an attorney to get great services and a great attorney. And I think, believe it or not, the more reasonable rates that the lawyers that charge the more reasonable rates, believe it or not, in my experience, are the attorneys that are going to answer your phone calls on a possible Sunday or at 5 or 6 o'clock when when other attorneys are going to go home. And you're going to get, and this I feel strongly about, some law offices, and I know Sandy's has a couple of associates who may handle the case, but I can tell you that your lawyer, when they call, another firm, let's say, doesn't want to speak to an associate, you're not going to want only an associate. You want hands-on partners. You get that from Sandy's firm. I don't have associates, so you get that from me as well. And I actually think that's a very good experience. Not to say that you shouldn't hire somebody that an associate's going to handle the case, but what you want is you want to make sure in your consultation that you are going to have that attorney, the partner, be involved. I'll just tell one quick anecdote and then I'll hand over the mic. I'm handling a matter, the case is actually going on now, and an associate was handling the case. The judge said, you know what, I think this is a case that's ripe for this mediation project. And what it was a Supreme Court judge was coming to Brooklyn to sit down on certain cases and try to mediate from a judge's standpoint and try to help these individuals come to a resolution. The associate comes in with the partner. The partner knew nothing about the case. And so every single thing that was asked in the mediation, the partner had to ask the associate. Okay? Now, mind you, the husband is paying for both of those attorneys at the same time. Okay? And the partner was being paid at a rate of, I believe, $5.50 an hour. And the partner knew nothing. And to top it all off, when the associate would interject, and who had all the knowledge on the case and would interject, the partner would basically slap the associate down and say, I'll answer that question. So again, it's just to be mindful that when you go into a consultation, you want a hands-on partner who's going to oversee let's call it a project. So these are things to look out for. So go ahead.
Well, I just want to say I agree with what Matt is saying, especially about it's true, the difference between like doctors and lawyers, because I am one of those people who, wants those Upper East Side doctors. And, I don't have any Brooklyn doctors. I did practice in Brooklyn for a long time. I'm in Manhattan now. But if your case is going to court, you want someone who goes to court a lot. And sometimes it's the smaller firms. It's they're not as high priced. They don't charge as much, but they are also more hands-on, and they have more familiarity with the courts, with the judges, and can do a better job in the end. I've worked with all these big guns and fancy attorneys, whatever, and I find, like what Matt was saying, is that the partners don't necessarily know everything, that they've assigned an associate who, may be a good associate, but it's not the same thing. And I'm not speaking for all of these attorneys, but a lot of these attorneys, are rainmakers. They just bring the cases in and then assign them out to people. So you might have this great consultation with so-and-so who, charges a lot of money, and then they disappear, and you've got the associate until you go to court. So you're not going to find that in a small firm like mine or Matt's or any, pretty much the other small firms in Brooklyn and Manhattan.